Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Sunday, you guys. I'm glad to be back to you this week with another bit of information for you guys for what's coming out of the world of sports in this country state. It's a pretty cold day over here, guys, as I'm watching right now the Buffalo Bills and the Ravens right now. It looks really cold over there. I'm happy to be here in sunny South Florida instead of Buffalo, New York. But with that being said, there's the end of the season for our NFL teams, the Buccaneers, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. All of these teams have now officially been eliminated from postseason contention, with the Buccaneers losing to Washington last week. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the future of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins, and we will talk about what's going on in the World NBA as far as the Heat and the Magic are concerned, with Banchero and JB back to their respective teams. Huge help these guys needed, and so we'll get into that. We'll talk about what went wrong for the Gators and then what went right for the Gators in their last couple of games, along with the Knowles and the Canes. We'll wrap things up with the Bolts and the Panthers. NHL information coming your way with the number 2 and 3 team in the Atlantic divisions there, guys. All that and more on this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. Keep it locked here for all of your Florida sports needs. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, happy Sunday, you guys. Glad to have you here on the show this evening. A much shorter show than what we normally have for you, as the NFL season has wrapped up for our 3 teams in the Sunshine State. So the Buccaneers losing to Washington seals the fate for the 2024-25 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we look forward to seeing what is going to be able to be done in the offseason. We'll get into that and so much more. We'll jump ship to the Jaguars and the Fins, and then we will move on down to the NBA, talk college basketball after that, NHL hockey to wrap things up with some food for thought. Also watching the game against Buffalo and Baltimore. Obviously, this is a great game, great heavyweight showdown. I really like both of these teams this year and what these teams have to offer. Their quarterbacks are 2 of the very best in the NFL, and I wish them both a bunch of luck. I think I speak for everybody when I say I don't care who wins this game, just beat Kansas City next week. That's been a doozy. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, and what we noticed there as far as what it's like being a fan watching the game right now. It's just something I think that that's in all of our heads, on all of our minds, as far as where this game is headed moving forward. So definitely want to talk about that. But before we can get into that, guys, let's go ahead and talk about our handles for the evening. If you guys are looking for us on social media, where you can find us at Twitter, or now X, I should say, guys, IG, Facebook, TikTok, now that TikTok is back up. If you guys haven't opened TikTok, give it a shot, see if it's working on your phone, but it should be back up. So yay. But of course, Wherever you guys are looking for us on social media, you can find us at IE Sports Radio. That is at IE Sports Radio. IESportsRadio.com, the universal hub for all of the shows that fall under the umbrella of IE Sports Radio, including my very own Palm Tree Sports and all of the other shows, as I said, that we have to offer from the various states and cities that are covered here in IE Sports Radio. So if you guys are looking for us on the podcast station, regardless of wherever you're looking for us, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, wherever it is. For me, it's Apple Podcasts. If you are looking for this show, Palm Tree Sports Radio, you can find it at IE Sports Radio under the umbrella, and of course at Palm Tree _IE for the social handle. So again, we're everywhere, and this isn't the only show. So if you guys are looking for similar shows just like this one, that's going to be the place to look. I personally recommend IESportsRadio.com for all of your IE Sports Radio needs, guys. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, Palm Tree _IE is going to be the Twitter handle, as well as all the social media handles, Instagram, for this specific show where we talk all things Sunshine Sports related, guys. Now, moving right on along, we do have a couple of messages from our sponsors. Our sponsors this evening, Planet Jerky, the beef jerky that's on a whole other planet. Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B, our very own Cecilia B. And of course, we have partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research and awareness. Use our code IE Sports Radio, IESR, my apologies, to get 50% off their comfortable, inspiring gear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health, which is a massive thing. Of course, I'm a huge fan of therapy and am continuing to seek out therapy, and I think that we should all do so, whether it's internal or external, correct? And then, of course, our new sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. GetRawNutrition.com is the website to check them out on, and use promo code IESR for 10% off your order there, guys. And that is it from our sponsors. We will have a couple of messages from the great beyond, and we will dive into the world of sports coming out of Florida. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host, guys, for Palm Tree Sports Radio, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here for about 3 minutes. We'll be right back to you.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you powered by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, let's go ahead and take a quick look into the comments, and let's see who's in the building this evening. T-Rod, good to see you, my friend. Yes, sir. Let's have an amazing show. Absolutely. Dad, is good to see you. Great AFC divisional game on right now. That's correct. Nice bounce back for the Gators after that loss to Mizzou. You got to keep winning. That's correct, guys. So as you guys have seen, we do have some work to do with the Florida Gators men's basketball team after losing a second game this season to Mizzou, but that's okay. We're going to get right back on the ball and get back to playing Gator basketball properly. But until then, until we return to the gauntlet that is to soon make its way into Florida, we got a few other things to talk about, guys. Mainly, we got to talk about what happened last week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their game against Washington. So, of course, I watched this game from start to finish. Just as any other Bucs fan that you would expect, or any fan for any team in any city, guys, I was on edge. I was concerned because Tampa Bay struggles against dual threat quarterbacks. We struggle in prime time. And we also struggle against the refs, guys. And obviously, that's a segue to a conversation we'll be having in a few moments, guys. But it was just, unfortunately, just not the best game for the Buccaneers. This would be the game that I list as a game where the team just did not show up as a whole. There were individuals who did show up, of course, the usual suspects, but Baker Mayfield had a relatively okay game. Obviously could have had a better game, but unfortunately, due to the nature of the play calling and some of the decision-making that I just did not agree with, for the first time this year, Tampa Bay looked like a college football team that still hadn't figured it out yet. Albeit a good college football team, they still looked like a college football team. Defensively, it was just unfortunate to watch this team that had only allowed, 9 points in the last 5 games, allowed 10 in the second half, including a touchdown that really put that game into a momentum shift that made it look like it was pretty much over for Tampa Bay. Watching this game, it wasn't the worst loss. Obviously, it wasn't the worst loss, but it was a loss that still hurts nonetheless. 23-20 be the score of the ball game when it was all said and done. Hindsight's 2020. Looking at what Washington was able to do against Detroit, obviously Tampa Bay looks like a stronger team than other teams give them credit for, especially when you look at how well we played against Washington. Barring about 5 different plays, this game could have gone completely different. Barring a couple of calls from the refs, this game could have gone completely different. Of course, I disagree with some of the decisions. There was this really, really bad play call that looked even worse on national television when they slowed it down because the commentators were talking about what took place on Austin Eckler went for a catch, and he never possessed the football. And then Antoine Winfield actually came away with the football with 2 arms on the football and the football on his chest. If you guys go back and look at that replay, which I'm pretty sure is hard to find right now, by definition, by NFL rule, if you actually go to the website and look at what the NFL rule is, in order to possess the football, you must have both hands on the football, and either the football must be on your chest for the wide receiver or the defensive back, whoever's making the play on the ball. We have to make a football move, right? So the ball to the chest thing applies in the end zone. Obviously, you can possess the ball, get 2 feet in bounds, and not necessarily have to do the rest of what ensues because you're already in the end zone, right? The ball just has to break the play and it has to be in the field of play. You have to get 2 feet down. That's the end zone. Outside the end zone, in just from the 1 to the 1 on each side of the field, you have to make a football move, which is either take a step or make a move like, to the left, to the right, whatever it is, you have to complete some type of movement. And when you look at that play, you kind of realize that was actually a big deal because he scored a touchdown on that drive. And I believe that was a third down play. Not saying they went 3 for 1 on fourth down. Don't get me wrong, but we want to play to, our best ability, which especially would be getting off the field on fourth down, not allowing any points would be massive right there in that kind of situation. So that was a very, very big thing that wasn't mentioned, or I don't think they paid enough attention to it, but by rule, that wasn't a catch. And if it was a catch, it was actually an interception due to the fact that, of course, Antoine Winfield was the one who possessed the football when they got to the ground, by the time they got to the ground. So that was a really, really bad call right there. And of course, like I said, they scored a touchdown on that drive. So that was very, very frustrating. Also, like I said, kind of took the air out of us there in the second half of that game. But of course, not to be outdone, I won't sit there and pin it all on the refs in that specific play. Tampa Bay also made a number of mistakes that just led to this complete shock of I don't want to call it an upset, but just a performance. Tampa Bay had been performing so well all year long, even in our losses. Aside from the Broncos and the Cowboys losses, I think we still played well pretty much in every other game, and it was just extremely unfortunate. Mike Evans popped off though. He had 92 yards on 7 catches, including a touchdown over Marshawn Lattimore. I never want to hear that discussion again. Marshawn Lattimore can shut down Mike Evans. No, he can't. No, he can't. The defense that the Saints were playing was geared towards stopping Mike first and then playing football against the rest of the team after that. And when you realize that's why they had so much success against Tampa Bay overall these years. You realize it was more so the scheme than the player. And when it's one-on-one, Mike, I'm taking over anybody. I don't care. So yeah, that's what happened there with Mike. Of course, Baker, he was pedestrian at best. He didn't throw any interceptions, but he only had 2 touchdowns, just under 200 yards passing, I believe it was. And unfortunately, the run game was not, if it's not Bucky, it's not working, right? So that was kind of what the issue was there against Washington. Washington came in with this idea that they wanted to stop the run. They did a good job for the most part. Bucky still had 77 yards on the ground, but we just didn't play well enough defensively. We struggled when it mattered most, which was on fourth down. Again, giving up 3 out of 4 first downs on fourth downs, including that fourth down on that drive where they scored the go-ahead touchdown to tie the game. Not go-ahead touchdown, my bad. The tying touchdown, and then the go-ahead field goal, which was also poor clock management, guys. That's another thing that we have to talk about. But just before we get there, to wrap up my synopsis on what happened with the offense, unfortunately, there were just some play calls that were just picked at terrible times, including that jet sweep, which led to a fumble in the red zone. Terrible situation there. There was that. There was Graham Barton made a mistake, but he's a rookie. I'm not worried about him. I'm not going to stress it. He's played well all season long, and he made a mistake. And yeah, it was a playoff game, but it's still just a football game. And so you just get it right. You come back next season, as he said in his post-game interview. You just get it right. You come back next season. You play better. You don't make that mistake again. And then, of course, for the defense, it was just frustrating to watch on that back end. We need some help. Zion McCollum can't be expected to be on an island with every receiver all the time. He is an outstanding receiver. He's the highest graded cornerback, my bad. He was the highest graded cornerback at the end of the season with a 90.7, I think it was, cornerback rating there. So outstanding job for him. Vita Vea gets no love on the top 100, landing at 83. And you realize he's probably the best nose tackle in the NFL right now. And you put him at 93. Wow. It's Tampa Bay. There's always been Tampa Bay hate. There's always going to be Tampa Bay hate. Why? I'm sure I don't know. I mean, we've gone through our trials and tribulations. I think that we should just be graded on our skill and nothing less. I don't know what the issue is, but I'm sure whatever it is, it's childish and meaningless. With that being said, though, Lamar's getting ready to take back the field right now. They're down. The Ravens are down 27-19 for those of you who aren't watching the game. But 3 minutes, 23 seconds left on the clock. So these are where stories are made. These are where legends are made. But back to Tampa Bay, guys. Like I said, defensively, we didn't show up where it counted. Levante David had a really nice play on JD early in the game, forcing him out of bounds on what would have been I think it was a fourth down run by JD, and Levante David met him to the sideline. Unfortunately, that was like the best play we had defensively. We really, really struggled against JD, his dual threat ability and his decisiveness and his speed when he makes a choice really, really is putting some of these older quarterbacks to shame right now, because man, what a play that was there to get the first down running away from who was it? Kalijah Cansey, I think it was. They were on 4th down and extending that drive, which again eventually led to a touchdown, which tied the game before the go-ahead field goal. JD, bro, all I can say is, man, I tip my hat to you. I'm still not over what you did to my University of Florida, all right, when you were at LSU, but I'm no hater, bro. You're a phenomenal football player. You're a rookie, and you can only get better from here. I love that you've lightened up on the hits that you were taking, because you got hit a lot in college, and it looks like you're getting hit a lot less here in the NFL, and that's great. And I wish you the best of luck next week. I kind of don't hope you win, because I don't really want to see Patrick Mahomes beat up on a freaking rookie in the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying beat up like that, but that it's just cancerous what's going on in Kansas City right now. It's just cancerous. But yeah, outstanding game by JD. And again, what he did to Detroit shows that Tampa Bay has what it takes to compete. And unfortunately, like I said, there were just too many self-inflicted injuries. And then when you talk about self-inflicted injuries, we can move on from the defense, and we've already addressed the issues there at defense. Levante David may actually retire, for those of you who have been following his career, his 13-year career so far. Outstanding linebacker out of Nebraska. He was a Cornhusker. Just what a phenomenal player, what a phenomenal leader on defense. If this is his last year, Godspeed to him, but I really do hope that he comes back. Obviously, he showed this year that he still has plenty in the tank, and at this point, it depends on what he wants to do. Per his post-game interview, he said for now he's going to put that on the shelf, and he's going to go home and be a father and spend time with his baby girl. And as a father myself, guys, who I would spend my entire day with my son actually before doing my show, I would do the exact same thing. And I feel like he's making the right decision for himself, and I really hope he makes the right decision for his future as far as playing, whether that's to retire or not. If he does retire, we're in big trouble. We need 3 linebackers at this point. The team is expected to move on from quite a few players that are coming off of their rookie contracts, including JTS and some other guys. I think I would probably re-sign JTS for a year just because we're hurting so bad. But as far as the management is concerned, who knows what they're going to do? The only person that we know for sure that we need to keep is Chris Godwin. I think that's just not really up for debate. It's got to be Chris, right? Can't let him go. Speaking of management and clock management, as I mentioned earlier, let's go ahead and bounce back to that topic real quick. For those of you who watched the game, I'm pretty sure you guys saw the very lackadaisical time and clock management by Todd Bowles. Something he's been under criticism for before. Actually, in fact, last year that was a huge issue. And this year, again, it has been an issue. This is not the first game this season that it has been an issue. This is probably the 3rd game this season that it's been an issue. But realistically speaking, I'm not sure what that means for him moving forward. What I can tell you for coaching is the Buccaneers cannot let Liam Cohen go, okay? That is the one thing that I can tell you. If there were, in order, get this done, a to-do list, right? At the top of that to-do list are 2 tied. It's tied first and first. Re-sign Chris Godwin, lock up Liam Combs somehow. I don't know how you lock him up. I don't know what he wants. Besides, I know he expects to be a head coach at some point in time. I don't know if Todd Bowles is interested in stepping down. I would totally love to see a situation where Liam Cohen becomes the head coach and Todd Bowles becomes the defensive coordinator, or maybe they co-head coach for a season or something. Listen, I don't know. I don't care. I would love Todd Bowles to stay, but I feel like he's not a head coach right now. Like, don't get me wrong. He is a head coach, but what has saved Tampa Bay, okay, has been Liam Cohen. Let's not sugarcoat that, right? He took an offense that played good enough last year under a not as good offensive coordinator, in my opinion. And he did it with a bunch of rookies too. He did it with Jalen McMillan. He did it with Bucky Irving. He did it with Graham Barton, with Devin Culp. Okay, so what Liam has done is just phenomenal, and we can't let him go. We can't let him go. That's basically it, guys. That's basically it. Let's go ahead and jump back into the comments real quick and see what's going on here. So, game was over when Bucks tied game instead of going forward on fourth down. I agree with you. So there's another idea. I've seen that topic discussed a lot, especially on Twitter, guys. So there was a 4th and 5, I believe it was, and they made the decision to kick the field goal instead of going for it. There were 3 minutes, 23 seconds left on the clock. I want to say I think it was 3 minutes and 23 seconds. It might have been less than that. But the reason why I'm saying that is because Washington had gone for it 4 times. They converted 3 of them. 1, 2, this is a playoff game. Tampa Bay has a history of going forward on 4th down against Washington in playoff football and not doing it this time. The times that we have done it, we've won. The times that we haven't done it, which is twice now, we've lost to Washington. We played Washington a total of 5 times in the playoffs since I've been watching them play football. And yeah, another one goes to Washington. Very unfortunate outcome to that game, but I agree with you. I've seen that quite a few times. Hoping Magic and Heat turn it back around. Yeah, you know, JB's back for the Heat after his 7-game suspension. He played a little bit, so we'll talk about that. Magic do have Paul Banchero back, but Franz Wagner still not back from injury. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a moment, guys. But so then moving on, though, over to the Jaguars now that the Buccaneers season is over. And like I said, now we just look to the future for what's going to happen in the draft and all season. One other thing real quick. For those of you who are on Instagram or on Twitter, you guys probably saw Tyreek Hill say that the drive to Tampa ain't going to be nothing. I wanted to address that real quick. Tyreek Hill is a phenomenal talent. He's a great wide receiver. We don't need him. Tyreek Hill is showing to be a little bit of a diva. The last diva that we had was AB. I don't think anybody in Tampa Bay, including Jason Light, want to revisit that kind of issue that we had with with AB. For those of you who remember that, we were playing the Jets. We actually ended up winning the game like 23-22 or something like that, or 23-20. And Antonio was very upset that he wasn't getting force-fed the football. And so he took it out. He took his gear off, his helmet off, and he jogged off the field doing this number and, doing that whole 9 yards. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. That was just what a terrible moment that was. A lot of us here in Tampa Bay think we win a second Super Bowl if that doesn't happen in a row. And when you look at the team and how stacked it was, it's hard to disagree with that. Unfortunately, that led to some it led to more off the field issues that we were already having at that time with all the personality conflicts and things that were going on of that nature in Tampa Bay, especially not to mention after just winning a Super Bowl. Definitely AB really, really, took the win out of our sails in that situation. We did our best. We rallied to an NFC championship game that year and fell short to the Rams. Unfortunately, like I said, I think that if that doesn't happen, that things are completely different and that the outcome of that season is quite possibly a second Super Bowl in a row. Whatever team came out of the NFC that year was winning the Super Bowl. That part was most definitely true. I'm pretty sure we could see that much. But with that being said, that was the last thing that I had for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys. Now we can go ahead and move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, guys. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're in an interesting situation. And by interesting situation, I mean, it's not actually interesting. It's just the situation we see teams in all the time when they're performing the way that they are and they're not being able to find any success. They fired their head coach, Doug Peterson, after a 4-13 season, I believe it was. We all saw this coming. He saw it coming. We all knew it was going to happen. What other decision do they have? I'm not really sure. If you want to put the blame on Doug Peterson, you can. This is a guy who's won a Super Bowl. So it's one of those things that I look at and I say, well, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was him. What I can tell you is obviously I don't think that sunshine is the answer there at quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, as much as I love him and coming out of the city of Clemson for college, it was looking like it was going to be something special, and unfortunately, it just wasn't. It didn't turn out to be. He hasn't been the same since his injury. He hasn't quite developed the way that we thought that he would, especially coming out of Clemson. And because of that, I think that there are a lot of negative thoughts around him and surrounding this team as a whole. As a result, it looks like they moved on from the head coach. They're probably going to move on from Trevor Lawrence after this season is over with, or this coming up season. I think this is his final season on his rookie contract. So if it's not, then look for him to move quite possibly this offseason. If not, we'll see what happens. Obviously, without a head coach in position, there's going to be a lot of discussions and, what should we do? And so because of that, because of it, we will just have to wait and determine what they decide to do with that Jaguars front office, guys. Like I said, Jaguars finishing 4-13, one of their worst finishes that we've seen in recent memory. And when I say worst, it was just from the standpoint of the quality of football we watched this year. I watched like 3 of their games. And I mean, from cover to cover, I watched like 3 of their games. And when I tell you they had nothing going on, I thought Tank Bigsby was going to be a bright spot for them. He really kind of wasn't this year. He started off pretty good. Second half of the year, he didn't really show up. They had some injuries there at the O-line position as well. So that probably made it harder for him. The one bright spot for sure is Brian Thomas Jr. This kid's a stud. If there are teams right now that are looking for, some talent to add to their team and in the form of firepower, at least, that I'm trying to describe, I would say try to pick up Brian Thomas Jr. now while he's still young. Yeah, he's on a rookie contract, but perhaps you could trade something for him. I mean, he totally looks like the best possible rookie receiver I think that I've seen this year. Yeah, Xavier over there in Kansas City's been good, but he's also playing with Patrick. Patrick's not bad. Like, don't get me wrong, he's definitely not the best quarterback in the league, but he's not bad. Like, he's a pretty good quarterback, guys. And as much as it's hard to like that team right now, you still got to give credit where credit is due, and Patrick does make other people look good. So I think Xavier Woods, I think it is, right out of Texas. He's good ball player, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. is probably the best rookie receiver. Ladd McConkey's really good too, but again, Ladd McConkey has Justin Herbert throwing him the football, right? And he's on a really, really good Chargers team. So I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr. and I'm saying he's doing what Mike Evans did early in his career, right? Where he had these terrible quarterbacks throwing him the football, but he was still phenomenal. He was still catching double-digit touchdowns. He was still 1,000 yards receiving every year. And Brian Thomas Jr. is kind of looking like that kind of player. So he's definitely the guy right now that if you're trying to get yourself on a young receiver and you have a second round or 2 second-round draft picks you're willing to give up, or maybe a first-round draft pick you're willing to give up just because you don't see anybody who has that kind of potential, especially in the latter portion of the draft, that's just something to take in consideration. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, firing Doug Peterson was the biggest thing. Who's going to be the head coach? We're sure we don't know. The kid from Detroit that is being looked at by quite a few teams, including the Raiders and the Jaguars. So we will see what happens. But I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I apologize for that, guys. But he's definitely getting a lot of attention. And so we will have to wait and see what happens. It looks like the Buffalo Bills recovered the onside kick with 1:33 to go. Baltimore only has – do they have any timeouts? They have 2 timeouts left. So you have 2 timeouts left. They'd have to force Buffalo to go 3 and out right here, and then in doing so, they would just something special would have to happen at this point. But because Buffalo can get it really, really low with this, I mean, the first down ends the game. So regardless. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on there for the Jaguars, guys. Their season, like I said, being over now. They can only look to the draft into the offseason to see what they can do to right the ship. Moving on along to the Dolphins, guys. Dolphins also in a similar scenario, albeit a slightly better one than the Jaguars. They do have a lot of potential. That is the ball game. Game is over. Buffalo Bills score, or not score, but they got the first down. And that's ball game. So the Fins slightly in a different situation. They're 8-9, right? So a game under 500. Tua Tagovailoa came back after, another devastating concussion, and he played very, very well the rest of the season. Unfortunately, this team is on a self-implosion mode. Shaq Barrett came back. He left the team to go play for Tampa Bay. We're glad to have him back in Tampa Bay, but it always just seemed like that was how things were going to go anyway, and I'll be 100% honest with you. It sucks for the Dolphins, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot you can do about it, and that happens across all teams. Gronkowski did the same thing when he came back to play with Tom. The Patriots had to give the rights to us for us to play, but that's what it's about. It's a players' league, so it happens. But Tua Tagovailoa is soon going to need some more help. Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami, and like I said earlier, he was talking about wanting to come to Tampa Bay. I don't know. I mean, I think there are some people here in Tampa Bay that would like to have him, but I don't think he's necessary. I think that we have a lot of continuity without that diva feeling that's in the room when you have somebody like Tyreek Hill with the big contract and the just the lifestyle and all of those things that come along with it. I would sooner look into the draft instead of go out there to try to get Tariq. Plus, we don't have the money for it. So with the money that we do have, I'd rather give it to Chris. I'd rather give it to Will Galston, Levante David, and guys like that. So that's just my personal preference, and I'm pretty sure that's the Buccaneers front office preference as well with Jason Light and those boys. Miami in a really, really rough division, as we're seeing right now. The Buffalo Bills advancing to the AFC Championship game. Looking to get back to a Super Bowl after losing 4 Super Bowls in the early 90s and never being able to return to the big game. So we'll see what happens there. I really, really hope that this team is able to beat Kansas City. I absolutely don't want to see Kansas City in another Super Bowl, and it's not because I'm hating. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of seeing Taylor Swift. I'm sick of the Patrick Mahomes. They talk about him like nobody I've ever heard. Like they talk about Jordan, they talk about LeBron, they talk about Kobe and Peyton and Drew and Tom. They talked about those guys like they were who they were. They talk about Patrick like he's not in a cradle getting rocked by zebras 24/7. So I really hope that Buffalo is able to come away with this AFC Championship game. I was good with either team going over there. I feel bad for Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, he's doing what Lamar does. And it's starting to become his calling card as a Lamar fan, and that's not deliver when it matters. And also that was Todd Monken's fault. I'm actually going to put that on Todd Monken. Got away from running the football, and I think that ultimately cost them, especially in the first half of the game. They started to run the ball a lot better in the second half, but you got to start early when you got somebody like Derrick Henry. So there's that. But I pretty much mentioned what was going on there for Miami. Like I said, Tyreek Hill wants out, and so they're going to need some more help on offense and defense. On defense, they're going to be looking for edge, and probably edge and linebacker help more than likely for the Dolphins are their primary needs on defense. And then on offense, they're definitely going to need to add another receiver. They may need to add another tight end. They basically just need to get deeper. They've got really good, ones at all of those positions, but the follow-up is just where things are kind of struggling at. And I think we saw that a lot as Tua tried to improvise down the stretch, right? Especially in the latter part of the year after he came back from injury. So, but yeah, that's it. That's pretty much what's going on for the Dolphins. Nobody's been fired yet or anything like that. And there's no projection to do so. This is just a down year and a very, very rough division to be playing in. And I'm pretty sure they're looking to be back and better than ever next year. Let's wrap things up with a quick look back at the comments right quick. Yep. Andrews dropped that 2-point conversion, and that's insane because that was the last person I would have expected to drop it. Excuse me. Yeah, Buffalo's going to travel to Kansas City. Washington's going to travel to Philadelphia. And one way or another, there's a 50% chance that we are going to, or not 50% chance, a 25% chance for a repeat of the Philadelphia, was it Chiefs Philadelphia? I think it was a few years ago. And then there is a 25% chance that we're going to have two teams that have not played in the Super Bowl in the last 20, 25 years play each other. I mean, I think it would be really cool to see Buffalo versus Washington in the Super Bowl. I don't know how I feel too much about Buffalo, Philadelphia, or Kansas City, Philadelphia. I don't think I want to see that again. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for you for the NFL, guys. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll go ahead and get into the NBA, and then we'll close out with college basketball and NHL hockey, and I'll send you guys on your way, guys. Thank you for having it live here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, this is brought to you by Body Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here for 2 minutes. We'll be right back to you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson, It's your boy Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And speaking of basketball, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, is brought to you and powered by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are about to dive into NBA basketball and talk about what's going on with the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. So the Miami Heat get JB back after his 7-game suspension. Obviously, very critiqued by many people. The media is going to say what they have to say. People are going to have their opinions. I'm going to stand by my opinion. I like JB. I would love for him to stay with the Heat, but I don't want him to stay if he doesn't want to stay. Obviously, there is some friction between the Heat and him, but then how could there not be for given both situations? I think that there's a lot to take into consideration here when you're looking at from the outside looking in. Obviously, JB has been responsible for helping bring this team back from a place of just not relative success to what they were used to and accustomed to when LeBron was here. Taking that in consideration, you realize that this team really rallied around JB and they were able to develop and build some serious characters such as Bam Adebayo and now the emerging Tyler Hero, who's been playing outstanding basketball over the last couple of weeks. When you take all of that in consideration, it adds up to a W against the Spurs in the form of a 128-107 victory. Now the Heat are 1-3 over the last 4 games. This was the first win in about a week, give or take. And so it feels good for them to finally get back in the W column right now. They're rocking a 21-20 record, so just a game above 500, which is pretty much where they've lived all year long. The win comes against the Spurs, who are living sub 500 at 19-22. That Spurs team, coached by Greg Popovich and Wemby, Victor Wembanyama, is. It's a young team with a lot of upside. You got to continue to develop, and I think they'll do just that. And right now, sitting at 500, this is about where the Orlando Magic were about 2 years ago before they went on their incredible tear last year, and then what they've been able to do this year so far. So looking forward to seeing how the Spurs to continue to develop underneath that amazing, legendary coach, Greg Popovich. Again, can't say enough good things about him. But like I said, JB has come back from his 7-game suspension. He's had 8 points in 28 minutes, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Obviously a pedestrian night for him, but it is what it is. It wasn't going to be a quick return and just boom, 35 points in that first night. We know that, and we got the W. That's what matters. So we look forward to seeing this team continue to gel a little bit further. Of course, like I said, Bam Adebayo had himself a night. I think he had 10 points. He was across the board. He kind of did a little bit of everything on a lot less minutes. Wemby. Tyler Hero went off again. Like I said, he's been playing outstanding basketball over these last couple of weeks. He had a 35-point performance a couple of nights ago, and then he had another 34-point performance, I think it was, after that. So it's starting to become evident that if we feed the ball to Tyler Hero, good things are going to continue to happen, and we just have to see him play consistently like that and continue to be that guy because Miami needs him to be. And that's just, it is what it is when you speak on that specific subject. Like I said, 1-3 over the last 4. So hopefully they're going to be able to get back into the win column, make it 2 out of 3 over the last 5 and 3 over 4 over the last 7. They will be taking on the Trailblazers, 13-28 Trailblazers. So this is a team they should be able to defeat on paper. We will see what happens. They have to show up first and foremost, and that's what it comes down to. This team is in position to make some noise, but they're going to have to, stay healthy and, of course, find some gel and try to stick it together right now because, again, I am concerned with the off-the-court issues. Tuesday, January 21st at 7:30 p.m. is going to be the start time for that game. Again, Tuesday, January 21st, 7:30 p.m. start time for the Trailblazers Heat game. Like I said, Heat should be able to get this game. Hopefully, JB is returned to form by then. That gives him a couple of days for rest. And if that's the case, we should be able to see him play at a more optimal level. And that's what we're hoping for, right? I don't know what's going to happen. Also, obviously, like, it's one of those things where, like, being in the state or being close to the city, you might think, oh, maybe you know what's going to happen. No, we're really not sure. It's just going to come down to what they decide to do collectively between the Heat and the front office. Eric Spoelstra is going to roll with whatever he has, right? So that's the kind of guy he is. Orlando Magic, right? Slightly different situation. They do have one of their stars back. Paolo Banchero is back, so we are so glad to have him back. Our outstanding 23-year-old big man is back, but not yet back to form, and that's okay. Again, we expect it was going to be some time. It took some time for him to deal with his injury, and then of course he's missing one of his partners and friends, Wagner, who's also dealing with injury right now. So that's just one of those things where it's like, you know, we're still not 100% in Orlando, but we look to be hopefully soon. But with that being said, let's get into what their game was like. So they're rocking a 23-20 record. They were playing the Nuggets, 25-16 Nuggets. That is 113 to 110 be the score of that ball game as they lost that game. It was close until it wasn't, and it is what it is. Like I said, Paolo Banchero is back, and you know, we got to get him. We got to feed him. He got 29 minutes, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and he's just trying to get back into form. Like I said, so continuity with the ball is going to do that for him, and we're looking forward to him returning to form sooner than later. They've lost 3 in a row, so it's going to need to start happening ASAP. Right now, they are sinking right now in the East. I think they are just in front of the Heat. They're sitting at like 6, and the Heat are a 7 seed right now, I think it is. And that's not going to be good right now for the playoffs. It's not going to be good because you're looking at playing teams that are capable of giving you a first-round exit immediately. And we never want that, especially when you look at the last couple of seasons, how they've gone, especially with the Heat. They've been to a couple of finals that they fell short, or they went to Eastern Conference Finals and finals and they fell short. And then you have, of course, the Orlando Magic, the young upstart team that's playing extremely tremendous basketball over the last year and a half, going on 2 years, but have been dealing with injury issues to their star players. And whenever you're injured star players are out for long periods of time, these are the kind of things that you see. 3-game loss right now, and it does get a little bit easier moving forward, guys. That's the good part. The next game is going to be against the Raptors. That's going to be the 10-32 record-holding Raptors. So that's not a really, really good team right now. They should be able to get back in the win column here. That's going to be Tuesday, January 21st at 7:30 p.m. So both of these games, same time, same date, same start time. If you're going to be watching Orlando Magic basketball or Miami Heat basketball, you're going to be flipping back and forth. So just be prepared for that. But like I said, hopefully Orlando can get themselves back into the win column, and Banchero can kind of, like I said, get returned to form. Same thing with JB as they approach their next games Tuesday. I think the Magic will be okay. I don't know if Franz Wagner is going to make it back in time to really help get this team in position for a postseason run. I'm really hoping that that's the case. But if it's not, Banchero, you're going to have to put that cape on, big dog, and help carry this team as far as you can take it, because we believe in you. We believe in this team. We've got pieces. We've got the right, coach. We've got the right pieces and whatnot. Now you just got to put it all together, guys. So, yeah, that's where we're at right there for NBA basketball. Let's go ahead and move on over to college basketball. Take a quick look over at the comments right quick and see what we're talking about right there. There it is. So the Magic are 7, the Heat are 8. The Heat are 8th. Okay, so yeah. FSU hoops working towards a top 25 nod. Miami nod. Yeah, that's exactly what we're about to get into. In fact, that's a great nod right there. FSU's playing tremendous basketball recently with back-to-back wins, and they've been looking good for the most part. And they're in the ACC, so they're in a position where they can do it. The SEC right now is the Wild Wild East, and we're going crazy. SEC is just going crazy in basketball right now. So, but yeah, Noles are looking pretty good right now, and if they continue to play this way, they're going to start to become a feared team, and a team with a lot of momentum on their back is a dangerous team in the ACC, and we've seen that happen multiple times. Duke playing tremendous basketball this year, so obviously they're going to have to try to find a way to match that energy that Duke is putting out. But if they can do that, yeah, that's a big possibility. That's a big possibility. So before we get into that, though, there's Gators basketball we got to talk about, guys. So the best team when it comes to college men's basketball in the state of Florida is going to be the University of Florida, my beloved Florida Gators. It's always great to be a Florida Gator. Gators are ranked 5 right now, rocking a 16-2 record with notable wins over now Texas, as we get to say, and notable wins over the Tennessee Volunteers, as well as oh God, I just had it and I lost it. Who did we play just before the Vols? That we beat but didn't lose. Not Kentucky. We lost to Kentucky. But anyhow, a couple of noticeable wins so far this season. The point being that they're playing tremendous basketball inside the SEC. They lost a close one to Mizzou. 83-82 was the score of that ball game. That was earlier this week. I believe it was on Tuesday they lost that ball game, but that's okay. Like I said, it's the Wild Wild East. There's a lot going on right now. A lot of these teams that are playing tremendous basketball, and because of that, I suspect that none of these games will be easy games, and including the one that they just won. They were able to beat Texas 84-60. Texas rocking a 12-6 record. Not the best record, but still a Texas ball club that performed very, very well just a few years ago, and still can be a dangerous team. But welcome to the SEC, guys. Mizzou rocking a 15-3 record. They're sitting really, really close to what the Gators have, and with a pretty good SEC record so far, including a victory over the Florida Gators. So it's tight right now. It'll continue to be tight into March Madness, but I fully suspect that Florida will separate and become a Final Four team, and we're looking forward to this team bringing home another trophy. It's been a long time since we've had one, and why not us? But yeah, so the next game for the Florida Gators is going to be against the 10-8 South Carolina Gamecocks. That game is going to be Wednesday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. That's my brother's birthday, so shout out to my brother Josh. Happy early birthday, bro. Looking forward to see you for your birthday, and we'll have a drink. But yeah, so that's what's going on there for the Florida Gators as far as college basketball. Again, ranked 5 college basketball team right there. Florida Gators playing tremendous basketball. Probably the best backcourt. I said this last week. I've been saying it kind of all season long, but probably the best backcourt in all of college hoops at the moment right now, with an outstanding 1-2 punch there, low down under the net, guys. The Florida Gators, with a 16-2 record, is identical to what Duke is doing right now in the ACC, just with much better talent there in the SEC. So I would love to see a battle of the blue between those two teams in the Final Four. Obviously, I think that both of those two teams are capable of making it. Kentucky, another usual suspect in that discussion, along with a few other teams. And then, so we'll see what happens. But it's starting to get interesting, guys. It is starting to get interesting. I'm excited about that. Knowles, all right, Knowles basketball, huh? Knowles basketball is interesting. They are playing really, really good right now, and I'm so sorry. I need to fix that. But Knowles basketball, very, very good stuff right now. They're off of back-to-back wins, and they are looking like a team that wants to be respected right now. And I have to say that they are gaining my respect right now as we speak. The Knowles, my apologies, not the Canes, the Knowles are currently 13-5 after a W against Pittsburgh, seeing a 12-6 team. So both of these teams were sitting at 12 wins before. This was going to be a battle of same win teams. 82-70 was the score of that ball game. They're 4-1 in their last 5, including a couple of big ACC victories. And then when you look at their next victory after that, it was to beat Georgia Tech, which is 8-11 Georgia Tech. So obviously sub 500 ACC team, a little bit low down, but it is what it is. 91-78 was the score of that ball game. And so, when you ride that wave of momentum with 2 wins in the same week, they're going to go see Stanford, my apologies, but California in their next game. That game's going to be Wednesday, January 22nd at 9 p.m. So late start time for them. Shouldn't be a problem, though. It's school week, so they it might be a test in the morning. But, you put that in the back of your head. You go out there, you perform well. It's a 9-9 team in California. So, not the best team in the ACC. And you want to stack those ACC victories so you get your invite. And like I said, this looks like a team that wants to be respected, a team that's playing a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. That's probably the biggest improvement this year so far, is that they're playing well on defense. And obviously in transition, they were a dangerous team. late last year, and they've kind of carried that over right now. So offense in transition, doing pretty well for themselves. But again, the defense has been the biggest part for them as far as the improvements that they've made to start the season. Like I said, 13-5, trending upwards, looking at a top 25 bid either this week or maybe next week if they're able to put another win or two together under their belts. And hey, I'm just looking forward to it. Good luck to the Noles in that game. It's so funny as a Gator to be rooting for the Noles in basketball because it's different. Like we don't care. Like it's college basketball. It's not college football. It's a bit different. It's not the same rivalry in basketball. So, but moving on to the team that has no identity whatsoever, and the team that is they've gone under in the worst way, guys. And I'll back into this actually. So the Canes have lost 7 games in a row. Okay, they're rocking a 4-14 record. They just lost to Duke, third ranked Duke that is. 16-2 ranked Duke that is 89-54. That was the 6th loss in a row, and then the 7th loss in a row was to SMU. SMU puts up 117 against the Canes. There, Canes only managing 74 points in that game. SMU rocking a 14-4 record, one of the better teams in the ACC right now, sitting right under Duke actually as far as that is concerned, and a team that in my opinion should be ranked right now. They're not, but I think they should be. 117 points is no easy feat. I don't care how bad the team is. Yes, Miami is terrible, but still, 117 points is embarrassing. Miami, there's this man in the mirror that Michael Jackson was talking about, and you guys got to get in that mirror. And I mean, you got to do some research. You got to draw some squiggly lines on there, make a mustache. You guys need help. All right, you guys need help. Okay, and get rid of the whole program. Just get rid of the whole program, top to bottom. Next game for Miami is going to be against Stanford. That's 12-6 Stanford. That's going to be Wednesday, January 22nd at 11 p.m. Another late start time for them. They've lost, I think, all of their late start time games this year. 4-15 is what it looks like next week, ladies and gentlemen. My gosh. Ladies and gentlemen. I just not a whole lot to say. You watch a team that's taken the tumble that they've taken from a year and a half ago till now. Like I said, get rid of the whole program. Just get rid of the whole program. Start from the ground up. Figure it out. Good luck. Good luck. Stanford's going to get that one. Stanford's not a bad team. They just don't have the wow factor. When I say wow factor, I'm saying like look at Kentucky, look at Tennessee before they played Florida. Look at Florida right now. We have guys that like Clayton and Aberdeen coming off the bench. There's just so much material on the court and off the court for this Florida team. A lot of continuity, a lot of ball movement, and a lot of ability in ISO as well. We shoot really well beyond the arc, and we're able to penetrate at will. We pretty much lose when we beat ourselves, and when we don't do that, we're pretty much unstoppable. Unfortunately, the Canes are in the opposite position. They don't have anything. Like Stanford has a really good team. They play pretty good defensive basketball. But again, they don't have the wow factor. But the Canes have nothing. So there's just no way I see the Canes winning this game. And like I said, they dropped to 4-15 in this one. Let's go ahead and move on over to the Bolts because at this point, it's just disappointing to talk about Miami. Like I said, a year and a half ago, this was the team that we thought were going to be the best basketball team in Florida. And in fact, they're the worst. And that goes for FIU and FAU as well. They're worse than those two teams. A team that's not the worst is the Bolts. Okay. Speaking of hockey, the Bolts are playing pretty good right now. They are back-to-back wins as well. They're rocking a 25-16-3 record, which is good enough for third in the Atlantic Division, guys behind the Panthers and the division-leading Maple Leafs, who the Bolts are getting ready to go see. We'll talk about that in a second. Kershaw, Kucherov playing really, really good. He scored last night in the 5-1 victory over the Red Wings, guys. The Red Wings rocking a 21-20-4 record. Like I said, 5-1. We scored on the power play. A lot of assists on the scores. I think it was 3 assists out of the 4 scores, where 3 of them were assisted perfectly. And when I mean perfectly, I mean like you set the play up, you get the defense in position, and then you fire at will, right? So for those of you who played hockey, you guys understand it's a game all about positioning. Everything is positioning. Like, yeah, you don't have to be the most accurate, the best skater or anything like that. You don't gotta be the strongest, you don't gotta be the fastest. Positioning and probably just not destroying yourself, and when I say not destroying yourself, obviously is penalties, because like I said, we scored on the power play. I don't know if it was twice. I know we scored once on the power play, but it might have been twice that we scored on the power play. But the thing is, this team, when they play like this, are unstoppable, right? Tremendous defense. The one goal that was given up early, so that's it bounced back really, really quick, and then like control the pretty much time possession. By the end of the first, we had drilled it in for a second score, and then we just ran away with that game. Bolt's looking good. Kershaw, like I said, legendary performance by him, throughout his career, I would like to say. And he gets another goal, like I said, just adding to the accomplishments he already has as a Bolt in the Big Blue. Love that guy. Love to see him popping off. Like I said, 5 different guys scored, moving the puck around. Before that, we won an overtime shootout game against the Ducks. Ducks rocking an 18-22 record, 18-22-6 for the OTL. 4-3 was a score of that game. Like I said, shootout, OT to bring it home. That puts them at 2 wins in a row and 4 out of the last 7, I think it was, if I remember correctly, 4 out of the last 7. So Bolt's playing pretty good hockey. Got to continue this as we move forward, especially if you want to climb back into the higher portion of where we're normally at for the upper echelon of that Atlantic division. Like I said, Panthers and Maple Leafs, both teams in front of us. Panthers are in front by 3.5, 4 games, I think it is. And then, of course, the Maple Leafs are rocking a 29-16-2 record, sitting atop the Atlantic. Like I said, the Bolts are going to go see them tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. That's going to be a really, really good game. I'm going to watch it up until Raw starts. Raw will be on Netflix, so I won't be able to watch both that and Raw at the same time, but I will watch the first 30 minutes of that game, and I'll let you guys know what I see when I get back to you. But yeah, it's pretty much what's going on for the Bolts. Like I said, they just got to continue this wave of success. Like I said, 4 of the last 7, 3 losses. They've got momentum on their side. They've got to continue to ride it and feed Kershaw off the puck. Vasilevsky, still best goalie in hockey. Love that guy. Let's move on to the Panthers, guys, and then I will send you guys on your way. I know it's getting pretty late, but I appreciate you guys for hanging in with me up until this point. So for the Panthers sitting just above the Bolts right now in the Atlantic Division. They're playing solid hockey. Well, they weren't playing solid hockey last week. Now they're playing solid hockey again. So the Panthers come back rocking a 27-17-3 record right now, which is good enough for the second place in the Atlantic Division behind the Maple Leafs, as I just mentioned. They beat the Red Wings 21. The 21-20-4 Red Wings, they beat 5-2 Thursday. Obviously, the teams, they do that. It's like traveling through the United States. So they come down, they play both teams in Florida, they move up, and they go back from there. And then, of course, the Panthers are getting ready to play the Ducks again, so they're going to go and reignite that game, or that rivalry, I should say. Now, the Panthers did get the better of the Ducks in this first one. They won 3-0 yesterday over the Ducks. That is 18-22-6 Ducks that they are beating. So a sub-500 team, not playing very, very well at the moment, but still a win is a win. The next game, like I said, is against the Ducks. It's going to be Tuesday, January 21st at 10 p.m. So a late start time for that game. I'm not going to be able to catch that game on Tuesday. I do have something that I will be taking care of Tuesday, and I will not be home probably till late. So unfortunately, I won't be able to catch that game. But I will still be able to get that information. I'll go watch the highlights and get everything I can gather from it and bring it back to you guys next week. But yeah, so like I said, Panthers good enough for second place right now. They've won 2 in a row. They look to continue to get back on point. They're 2-2 over their last 4 games, which has been the standard for them pretty much all year long. After that really wild start to the season, winning a bunch of games and whatnot. But like I said, returning to form is what they seem to be doing right now. And the more that they do that, the better they'll be able to perform as we get ready to head into the playoff fixture for the NHL guys. I think that both of these teams definitely have to make a deep push into the playoffs, and I think that both these teams will be dangerous at that time. They both have a lot of experience and a lot of skill on both sides of the puck, and if they're able to lean on that, they will find success, and who knows, maybe you can bring them away. That's everything that I have for you guys this evening on Palm Tree Sports Radio. Thank you so much for joining me here on this show, guys. I really enjoy it. I love, just being able to share this time and this information from you ideas that I love. I love my teams, and I love this place. So thank you again, guys. I really hope you guys have a wonderful weekend coming up. Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, guys. I still have to work. I'll be out there doing my part for the city tomorrow, but it's just a half day. So I look forward to being home and, relaxing. Guys. I hope you guys will be doing the same. I hope you guys stay safe. Take care of yourself. Love your loved ones. Hold them tight. And, let's continue to move forward. at each step, each day. Guys, catch me same time, same place next week. Sunday evening at 9 p.m. start time for Palm Tree Sports Radio. And again, don't forget to check out IESportsRadio.com, the universal hub for all the shows under the umbrella of IE Sports Radio. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful